Okay, so we are live. So as part of HackTable 2020, we have a cybersecurity talk and workshop from Helen Oakley, and I'll let you take it away.
Okay, hi everybody. Nice to meet you. I don't see you directly, but I will start with a little presentation. So today's workshop or session will consist in two primary sections. The first one is introduction into ethical hacking, and the second part, the bigger part, is going to be labs. So let me start with a little introduction. First of all, I want to bring up a disclaimer that current session is to promote the awareness and creativity for the cybersecurity and is not intended to encourage any illegal actions. So, and about that in a little bit. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Helen Oakley, and I work for SAP as a product security architect. And I'm also co-founder of a nonprofit organization Leading Cyber Ladies, which is a global cybersecurity network for women who would like to enhance their professionally and meet new colleagues and learn more cybersecurity and also share their own knowledge. Um, as today, I'm team of Hack Student, nonprofit organization, and we providing these kind of workshops for high school kids in different locations, primarily in Canada, but this is our first global or North American workshop. And I'm also an advisory board for CyberX organization, which is an educational and events organization in cybersecurity. I also have kids, and my kids hear a lot of about cybersecurity, and I'm sure they know quite a few things by now. But I do enjoy sharing the knowledge as far as it can go in different schools and different regions and so on. So, without any further ado, let's see our workshop. So, maybe some of you have seen this image before, and it's very funny. It's a bunch of gibberish here. If you haven't been involved in any technology, you might recognize some of that. But basically, what this person is trying to do is to hack the paid highway system. If you see in the beginning, it's actually that driver's license plate, and then there are a bunch of characters. And what he or she is trying to do is to um, go to this database when the car is passing through the camera, right? They recognizing the license plate, and based on that license plate, they gonna send a bill to the car owner. But in this case, he or she are trying to actually drop that table, meaning that deleting any records about this license plate. So no bill will be received, a free ride. In this case, it is illegal. It might seem funny, but it's not a lawful way of using it. However, it is exposing actually a vulnerability in that highway system, their systems. If they're allowing to do this, it means that they have vulnerability, a security exploit, and which can cause loss of revenue and this free rides by illegal free rides. Okay. Now, what is really hacking? So, hacking is um, we usually hear about hacking as something bad, but first of all, it's not an easy task, and as Tom Hanks said once, it's hard for a reason, right? And this is what it makes hard. So I think it's uh, a great achievement for different people who trying to hack something. And really, the cybersecurity hacks are happening all over the place, and those who doing that, they are um, achieving these tasks of hacking, and they um, can do a lot of harm, or they can help companies. And on this picture, and you can go to yourself and see the live um, representation of all possible hacks that happening at this moment. It's captured by Kaspersky. So just a nice representation where they're coming from and where they're going, and it's a really busy the cyberspace that we are in, and can be quite dangerous too. So the good, the bad, and the fine line between the good and bad is very fine. We have a lot of things that we can do by hacking. Um, we can innovate, right? There are a lot of hackathons that we can go through. It can be part of our intellectual curiosity, how things work, basically. By breaking things down, we understand how they work. By building them back together, reverse engineering, we understanding how they work through hacking and maybe modifying this. It can be a hobby too. Um, and then there is um, our, a group of people who consider to be as ethical hackers. And what they do, they discover flaws in different systems, and it really helps companies and organizations to build more stronger secure environment by learning from these flaws. And these flaws are precisely, they follow precisely the code of conduct. So what it means, they have an agreement with those companies who hire them to do this testing, and they follow this conduct, they follow these rules and agreements, and it's very strict. So if something is out of scope and considered not to be touched, they're not allowed to touch. And in fact, just not too far ago, there were two pen testers who did a little bit beyond, and the intentions were really good. They wanted to expose and help the company fix issues. However, they've been charged because it was against the conduct, and it was considered as unlawful actions on the system, trying to do something that wasn't agreed. So it is really a fine line between how you what you can do and what you cannot do. And definitely never ever try to play around, even for learning educational purposes, with any website, any website. So I'll go through a little bit how to learn, because there are a set of tools that you can use in order to educate yourself if you're interested in ethical hacking. Now, what types of hackers do we have? And aside of um, the hacking, which is maybe not only security, we have like life hacks, when you have little tweet, little tips and so on to do things in life. Also, maybe robots, some applications that might be considered as part of the hackathon exercises. But in this sense, we're going to focus on cybersecurity aspects. And I'll go through a few terms. So black hats, those are considered to be as unlawful activities people. So they hack systems, and they exploit, and they achieve something bad out of it. So they do it, try to do it in hidden ways. They steal maybe data. They try to bring the system down, or so on. White hats are also called ethical hackers. So white hats are usually professionals who are being hired to test the system for cybersecurity vulnerabilities. And in that sense, it can be a bug bounty, part of bug bounty program. So individual hacker who signed up to be as part of bug bounties, and going into the systems that are allowed to do based on his or her agreement, or maybe as part of a cybersecurity company who perform penetration testing on different systems when they have contracts with the clients, and then they send these white hackers or ethical hackers to do the testing. Gray hats is a gray zone, so there's always a risk to um, go a little bit on both sides, and I, they may not mean a lot of bad things, but there is a very fine line when um, they might do something that is not really ethical to do. That's why we call ethical hacking that we do follow ethics in cybersecurity. Script kiddies are usually beginners who don't really, who are not very experienced in hacking, and maybe just trying to learn things around and just entering some scripts, maybe copying from the internet, and entering those scripts to see what it does, just in the beginning of their education, which is also not ethical if you are trying to do this on some website that you're not supposed to do. So again, for educational purposes, there are tools, and I will show you some tools today that you can use to learn cybersecurity and offensive security testing. Now, and the last one is, of course, we have spies, we have terrorists, and state-sponsored hackers as governments during the political wars and so on. So all they also exist, and those are usually a very um, highly educated professionals with a lot of experience, and they playing at a completely different level as rather than everybody else. Okay, so what is ethical hacking? Again, it's an attack against a company or individual or system to test if there are any flaws. And these attacks are legal because they're binded by contract. So there is a very specific agreement for these ethical hackers to go and do their job, and they have to follow it precisely. Why companies do this? So there are many reasons, and the top reasons is to evaluate the security, current security profile, right? How secure they are, where do they have any flaws, right? They want to see how to create security measures around those flaws, how to improve it, right? They want to understand um, the weaknesses and what's the impact on those weaknesses and to close those gaps. And of course, they want to document everything. And there are a lot of audits that happening on different companies, and they do need this for audits as well to prove that they actually analyze their security and they perform the needed steps to protect the data, to protect the users and the company. Okay, so types of ethical hacking. So I mentioned there are different ways. There's systems, companies, people, individual, right? So today we'll focus on web application hacking, offensive security. But there are other ways, other types as well. System, web server, um, hacking wireless networks, social engineering when we try to hack people, and physical infrastructure testing as well. And usually, in many cases, they have this end-to-end scenario. So if company hires a red team, red team is another term in cybersecurity that represents those ethical hackers that test company pretty much like end to end, as from the physical break-in, if they can enter the company through breaking in, passing some door locks, or maybe using social engineering skills And it's really like a real life scenario, how far they can get actually up to what point. And this scenario is, like I said, it's also being agreed upon ahead of time. So not everyone may know about this because they want to really test the actual situations, how people will behave, and so that no one actually prepares for that, right? But there are individuals who know about this and they agree specifically for that. And sometimes web application hacking also is part of that, or maybe there is a separate exercise to do this as well. So how does it work? We're focusing on web application today. Um, but for any hacking, actually for any types of hacking, there are a set of steps that professionals, good or bad, are usually performing. And the first step is planning for it, a reconnaissance, right? So you need to know what exactly you want to do, or what is your goal, and you need to collect information about the company. Before you step in, you need to know who they are, who are the people, what they're doing, what's the business, and so on and so on. So the first step is collect that information. Um, Second step, you start using different tools and you start scanning it. You're scanning the networks, maybe you scan their websites and see if there are any vulnerabilities. And actually, by scanning, you can see what technology they use for example, their networks, or maybe their web application server databases, some libraries maybe. You will see, you can query that against publicly available sources, such as some of the screenshots here, where you can see if there are any existing vulnerabilities in the versions that they're using that you can already exploit. And that's one of the first simple steps, right? So collect that information, see where are the current gaps without going further, and what can be done with those gaps. And then you're trying to gain access to their system, to their application, to their offices, or buildings, whatever that is. And you're trying to maintain the access. And again, so there might be already some protection in place. Maybe there's a security guard who will try to ask you, what are you doing here? And then you will have to come up with your social engineering skills, who you are, and maybe you're looking for, and see if they're gonna let you go, or they're gonna they're gonna have you leaving that space. And the same comes with the system. There might be some notifications, some checks, so when IT specialist will realize that somebody unauthorized is trying to access the network, and they will try to kick you out and so on. But in some cases, attackers can maintain their access and proceed furthermore.
Also, we have a question from a viewer. Could I ask that? So the question is, are the same steps applied to white hat hackers, or are there a different set of rules?
Yes. So these steps presented are actually the steps that usually white hackers do. And what I wanted to mention that the last step is where it's going to differ between bad and good hacker. Yeah. So white hackers or ethical hackers, after they're completing their set of attacks or set of steps, step 5 is to prepare the analysis what went wrong, and then they will be after steps such as maybe web application firewall configuration and so on, right? So the analysis will be provided to the company, and the company will perhaps follow the recommendations and so on. For bad attackers, for bad hackers, they will try to hide their steps and to maintain that access, or maybe steal data and hide the steps that they've been there. So that's how it's going to differ. So instead of analysis, they will just try to disguise themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the basic steps, and we'll go through some of that today. But if you haven't had any um, web application, I don't know, practice yet, I'll walk you through some basics, how web application is structured and how it works. So it starts with users, right? You as a user, you log into a web browser. So what happens in a backend, web browser sends a request, initiating request to the web server, the application logic, right? For example, login. And that application logic will check with the database where the whole data is resigned. For example, whether or not you have existing account there. So you enter your um, user password, username and password, and it checks against the database if there's already existing that user and if the password is correct, and then it sends it back. And you have either an error, sorry, your password isn't correct, or you're not existing user, or maybe it allows you to log in, and then wherever the application is, you're just using, so it's the same idea. Now, what attackers do, oh yeah, and there are also other services, the web logic, yeah, they can also refer to other services like third-party websites and so on. So there are a lot of layers that we can go in between. Now, the attackers, when they try to attack, they use multiple attack points. It can start with the users, for example, phishing. Yeah, they send you email, and user clicks on a link, and they navigate to a website, and maybe they try to log in. And this is when attacker can potentially steal their login credentials, username, password. Or maybe they have some already extensions downloaded to the browser that could do some malicious activity, or maybe they already starting to um, enter some malicious code into the web logic, or even stealing data from the database. So attackers can go to multiple levels to try to manipulate and steal data or gain the access to a system. Okay, so there is an amazing global project called OWASP, and for anyone who is interested in cybersecurity or just wants to understand what it is, I definitely recommend looking into that. And they have this top 10 vulnerabilities listed. So they assess globally, and it's a community project. So there are a lot of people who contributing into this. And currently, they listed these different vulnerabilities. We'll go through today SQL injection and cross-site scripting. But if you go to that website, I'm not gonna go today through all of them. It's really a lot of time for me to explain all of that, but I'll cover only a couple today. But I do encourage you to take a look afterwards. Okay, so before we go into detail, let me give you an example of a recent, I don't know, maybe a year ago or when that happened, vulnerability with Fortnite. So what happened? There were a huge amount of accounts stolen. Maybe some of you heard about that, with passwords and in-game currency. So those accounts being impersonated, and the in-game currency has been used for their purpose. So basically, um, that was a huge problem. And the reason is cross-site scripting vulnerability, XSS. So it's one of the top 10 on the OWASP report. And it was a vulnerability on the login page. So how it worked? Attacker sends the malicious sends the malicious link to a user. Yeah, maybe it's through email or somehow else, and then the user clicking on this link. So it's a very basic phishing attack. Clicking on this link to log into the Fortnite, to log into the Epic Games actually, yeah, account. So this page is a vulnerable page. So it looks just like the real page, but it has the script embedded into it, which redirects user. Actually, it first of all collects the login information from the third-party website like Facebook or Google or so on, which is used very widely among the accounts. And then it sends that, redirects that to different malicious screen, which looks exactly the same. And it takes that login information, which we call a token. So that information that it's then being passed to a Fortnite website to log in. So now attacker has the token, this login information of the victim, and is able to log into the account and change the password, for example, and kick the user out, so user cannot do anything anymore. And this happened, and in fact they started to selling those accounts as well, so not only stealing the accounts and in game, but also selling those accounts for other purposes. So that's a very basic example how a small tiny page, a login page, can become a very huge issue for the company, and in fact it can cost them millions and millions of dollars in fines because of the regulations of protecting user data and user accounts. Okay, so cross-site scripting, it's a common attack, yeah, and it injects or embeds malicious code like a script that can redirect or collect data from the website. And just like on the Fortnite example, a very basic example is when um, a predator or attacker um discovers the website that has vulnerability, and then they inject the malicious script into that website, for example, to steal the session cookies or a token. We call it also a token for logging. And then when victim logs into that website, enters the information, that session details, the session details in a cookie is being sent to the predator, and now predator is able to log in with that cookie into the account of the victim. So if you have any questions, just stop me again. I don't mind, but if not, I'll just move on. Just having some tea as well. All right. And the second SQL injection is the second vulnerability that I wanted to introduce. It's SQL is structured query language, and it's the language that is used uh, to communicate for application between the application and database. So what happens is attacker uses the SQL queries to trick database through, for example, in input fields like your username input, right? Or you provide something and sends that information, tricking the application to send information to the database, and database now recognizes that SQL query and just provides the response. So if there are no prevention, if there's no protection on an application, then this query can be executed by the database because database just accepts. So it's a responsibility of a web application. The logic is to protect it, but unfortunately, there's still a lot of applications that don't have that security measures included in their logic. And this is why it's still one of the top vulnerabilities that we see in the industry. Okay, so I will share this list of resources and challenges. Emma, should I just send it to you afterwards or paste it in a chat? Let me know.
Yeah, that would be great if you could like share the deck afterwards.
Okay. All right. So I won't spend a lot of time here because it's basically just links. Before we move on to a lab section, I wanted to thank you for being here. And you can follow me on the social media or LinkedIn, as well as hackstudent.com. You can follow us and see how we're doing and maybe join future workshops as well. Okay, so now is the lab time, and this is when you will engage in different exercises. So first of all, I would like to ask you to do first exercise with me, and that is we need to open the lab Word document, and the lab Word document is hidden. You need to find it. So it's like a little bit of capture the flag or CTF sort of exercise. Okay, so you need to find the password on our website's header, hackstudent.com. And in on our website, when you find the password, you need to enter in the console on the website. And I'll give you maybe a few minutes to figure out if you don't know how to find a header on the website. I will walk you through that, but I want to give you maybe a couple minutes to see if you want to do it yourself. And Emma, do we have an option to have maybe direct chat or more feedback from audience, or it's only for you?
We have the comments section, and if you click on like the right, if you can see that, it says comments, and you can read
Oh yeah.
any comments there might be.
Okay. So let me know if maybe let me know if you've done it, and let me know if you don't know. So, and based on your comments, I will show you how. So here is a few hints for you. So basically, if you want to find a password in a browser's header, um, depending on what browser you use, but any browser would have it, some sort of a web developer tool. And you need to open your browser and find your web developer tool and select the network section. From there, you would load the hackstudent.com website. Yes, header HTML. No, header HTML tag. No. Um, the header HTML tag is just what it looks like on like you see lab time, that would be HTML header. We are looking for the request response headers, HTML. Okay, so let me show you. I will just bring. Okay, so from the menu, you can find, I open a Firefox here. Yeah, if you have Chrome, you also will see, or Edge, you can also find it in the menu. There will be some sort of a developer tool or a developer or more tools, depending on the menu. When you click here, you will see the network. So by clicking on the network, a little panel will appear. Now, if I'm gonna student.com. So you see how at the bottom the URL start appearing. So those are requests. And now the site is loading. And at the bottom, you will see at the very bottom of the website, you will see a console. However, you need to enter the password to get to the labs. In order to enter the password, you need to find out, and we want to find it out from the header. So where it is, go to the very top, the very first one. Click on it. Click on that header. And at the very top, at the very within that header, you will see the hidden password. So the first, the second. Anyone, can you zoom a bit? Okay, let me see. Okay, I think that's better. Yeah. Anyone found it? It's a Google form. That's right. So, okay. So password is password with a couple switched characters. And I have it on my other screen. So you do have now, oops, not this one. Yeah, you do have a labs and a couple exercises here. We'll go through. So we have set up a vulnerable website, and this is one of the tools that you can also do yourself. And there is a second set of tools that I'll introduce you after this exercise that you can also use. Now, this website is available on GitHub, but you don't need to go there. So what you need to do is to click on this web address, IP address, and follow the admin password for username password. So you're logging on the website, into the website. Where do we have? Okay. Any questions so far? So first exercise is going to be a SQL injection. So for purpose of this exercise, I will just open them on the same screen here. Oh, come on. Like that. You can zoom in or zoom out. Yeah, the Google Doc. So once you log in, you should see the same screen as I do. Okay, from here, the first exercise is to click on the SQL injection button here. And now it takes you exactly through the steps. So you will start by entering just the number, right? And it will give you a response. So what are you doing? You're trying to communicate with the database and see what responses it gives you. If you remember that page, that slide where I presented the web application structure, so user, browser, WebLogic, and database. So now we are talking to the database through this the logic of the web server. Okay, so the next step is to enter the percentage sign or 0. And here you're trying to find if with the SQL statement what responses application gives you. Would it give you something that you may use? And currently it provided some usernames. Yeah, so first name, last name of the users that are currently stored on application. Of course, it's all made up data. It's all test training data, so it's not real users. But nevertheless, it gives you some feedback. So that can be interesting when you're trying to test applications, what it can do or cannot do, right? So how much security is implemented in that application. Everyone is following? Maybe you're already ahead. Okay, so next 1.4 step gives you information about the database. And this now submit. Oops. Yeah. So you're trying to figure out what's the database version, and by knowing the database version, you potentially could also figure out what are the vulnerabilities of that database and so on. So it's also interesting to understand that it's part of our scans and reconnaissance, exercises. The next query is a little bit longer. And now you're trying to get even more information. So just like it says on application, it allows you to join two tables, right? And you can basically build the queries. Once you know something there is a response, and that's how attackers or ethical hackers as well build up how far they can go by trying one small query, then see if it goes further and further, and if they can enhance that query and build it bigger and bigger. And potentially, we're trying to get some user information here. As in the next one, So you see that now it combines the queries and it retrieves some more information about the users. For example, user ID, yeah, and the names. You know this um, parameters already that we entered. Are there any questions or feedback? Because it's a little bit difficult for me. Honestly, we haven't run so many in person virtual sessions. Usually it's in class as before COVID. And I don't know if you're following me or not. So if you can just maybe text in comments quickly if you're good, maybe the number of exercise you're on, and if you're following, if you have any questions, that would be great. So I know if I should do it faster or I should stop and maybe explain a little bit more in some areas. Please let me know. Emma, are you also following the exercise?
Yeah, I am.
So, Ariane, confused on the process. Okay. On the process of the current exercise, what happens? So why are we doing this, or overall? So the process here, we're trying to find out if, I think we need to, yeah. We're trying to find out if we can get any information about users from this vulnerable website by entering different queries. Um, so basically, we're sending some parameters through the input field into the database. Exactly what SQL injection is. Uh-huh. Okay, so let me go back a little bit. Okay, so as you see in this image, yeah, we are in a login page, and we're trying to put in some information. So, for example, if this login page doesn't have any protection, I could put a query select. So this is specific SQL language. So select from customer name, that's a table. Select customer name, that's a column, from customers table where username is Helen. Yeah, so in here, I can get some records from the database. So all records for this username as an example. So basically, here, user ID on a vulnerable website is the field that is not protected. So we're trying to see if the database will give us some information about user by entering queries. And SQL query is the very structured language that tells database what to do or how to respond. And we can just read information, right? So we can select and read all the values, all the information about user, in this case, Helen123. Or maybe in some cases, we can update information before it reaches the user. So you intercept the data before it reaches the user again. No, I don't intercept here. In this case, I just have it displayed on my screen. Yeah. So you can intercept if you have intercepting tools. And that's something I wanted to show in our part 2 lab. But in this case, because the website doesn't have protection and it just spits everything out on the front page. just like you see this red errors here or red text. So by entering the SQL query, I send some command to the database, and I ask database to display some information for me. And that's what database does. So in this case, I don't need to intercept anything. I just see what the result on my page. But in some cases, there are some protections on the front end of the application when they, for example, don't display errors. In that case, I would intercept using tools and see what my response is in intercepting tools. And maybe then what's hidden from the user interface on the web page, I may still see in that tool as part of the response. So each error, if where's the slide again? Yeah, so each error here, back and forth, so it sends the request and response. And intercepting tools collect that information. So this is where I could see it. But in our vulnerable website case, we don't even need that be done. Okay, that makes it more clear. So further down here, when we enter the query in exercise 1.6, it returns passwords because we are trying to extract passwords now about the user that we are querying. And the password is just gibberish, just a bunch of characters. So it's a hash. So there is some protection. It's not clear text. Sometimes in really unprotected systems, it can come back in a clear text, but at least in a hash. And the next exercise, we don't have the full labs here set up due to time and the complexity. But there are some tools that can decrypt those hashes. And what happens next? You have decrypted password, yeah, in this format, and you can use that password to log in. So here, in this case, the password is admin, and you would be able to log in as that user. So the goal of the first exercise to reach the step 1.6, where you combine different queries and extract different information about the user and a password. So if you reached 1.6 and you have this errors on your screen, you have passed through. Also, there are, in fact, decryption decryption tools that are available online as well that can decrypt your hashed passwords. Okay, so let's move on to the next exercise, which might be a little bit more entertaining, maybe a little bit easier in a way. And it's a cross-site scripting attack. So what we're doing here, if you want to click on XSS stored in this case, so there are different types of cross-site scripting attacks. And in this case, we want to use stored. So it means it's storing at the logic of the website. And the first, you can copy this little script and enter it into into the name. Okay. So apparently, this has a very it has a character count. So you cannot enter the full um, script into this name field. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we will open a developer tool here. And this time we're gonna open a console. When we open the console, so basically we're trying to work backwards and see where is this field restricting us? What is this field? So I'm gonna click on assign and it's empty. Maybe reload the page. Okay, I see some people already entering some stuff here. Okay, so your message is displayed here. If you have the console open when you're entering, for example, the next step script, you will see it published here. You will be able to access this tool after the workshop. Yeah, we will leave it running for a couple days. So you can definitely play around and access it and go through exercise again. Okay. Okay, so here it prints the cookie, right? And a cookie session, if you remember, it's something that can be stolen to use to gain the access to an account. So in this case, it's prints. Sometimes it can send the cookie even to some other website. So for example, the malicious code is injected and then user logging and those cookies are being sent to attackers website system. Okay, so now you can pick a video from a YouTube, any video. Doesn't have to be anything specific, just for the test. And we will try to embed this test, but we embed this video onto this web page. So if you go to YouTube, just so the easy way to work around and embed, for example, I have here Mr. Bean. So when I want to share, not to share, how do you close this? This is not embedded. Sorry, wrong one. Where is my YouTube? Okay, let's try this video here. Best upcoming movies. um, so you should have different options how to share the video. And it's loading here now. Just a moment. So when you click the share button, I think my network is bad. Okay, you have the option for embed here, the code. So what you need to do is to copy this text and maybe paste it in some notepad or something for now. So I have this in my notepad. But before I try to manipulate the website with this embedded video, I probably will have a problem, and this step explains the problem. So in order to have this done, because there is a limit in characters for the guestbook entry, I need to increase that. And in order to increase, I need to go into inspector of the website and find the max length. So if you notice when I navigate, it also highlights the areas. So that's a very helpful feature of this inspector. And then when I expand down, I can see the details. And now I want to change the max length to, instead of 50, to 500. Okay, so now that I have changed it, I can take on that iframe embedded code from the YouTube and paste it in my guestbook. Okay, name cannot be empty, so let's give them a name. And my video is now embedded on this website. This only changes the website on your local machine, right? That's right. Yeah. However, some cross-site scripting will change on multiple sites. And this way, because it's stored on a logic, it will also update for me. And that's one of the types of cross-site scripting. So it's not only showing to me, but to others as well. Okay, we have a little bit less than half an hour left. And another set of exercises I wanted to show you. So you can use this tool We're gonna keep it running for a couple days, and you can also access the labs and read through the labs again and follow the exercises here. You can also look at the instructions on this website to learn more of different techniques. But before we finish today's session, I wanted to also show you another tool which you can use at any time, even after we stop this particular website when it goes down. So for that, you can close your browsers. We need to download the OWASP tool. So we're gonna go into second section now. For the second part, I would like you to follow the steps. So go to OWASP Zap website and download the tool. And the website will look like this. And this is a free open source tool that you can use and in your testing with whatever website, with that vulnerable website that I just showed, or the juice shop that we're gonna play around with right now. You can also read later on more details how to use Zap. They have different videos and instructions. Again, we're not going to go into all details, but I will show you maybe a couple tricks how to start with that. So download, install, it should be very quick. I already have it on my machine, and therefore I will move on a little bit further. Question: can we use similar methods to change it in a larger context? Yeah, technically you can. Similar methods to embed something else, to change something else, to print something on the page, depending on again depending on a website and vulnerabilities the website has or protections it has. So on the Zap tool, once you have it installed, you will see quick start page. Yeah. And this is where we're going to start. We're not going to go through details of configuration the Zap. We're just going to start the way it is out of the box. And usually configurations, it means that you need to configure the proxy to intercept your browser. So you'll have to set up it with your browser in order to go to pages and intercept them. But now Zap had implemented a new feature. Well, it's not very new now, but it has this feature where you can launch the website out of the browser and it will be already intercepting that for you. So when you launch it, you're going to click on the manual explore button here. And it will ask you to enter the URL that you want to explore. So we will enter the URL for the juice shop. And that's in step 3 that we have on the screen. And then you'll click the launch browser and another window will appear. So depending on your default browser or the browser that you're currently using. Okay, so the first time you launch it, oh, where did it go? Sorry. Seems like, okay, launch again. Okay. All right. So first time you get it, you'll see this little page here, and you can click on help getting started. You will be launched to another website where they explain about the project. In step 5, this is the website you can go to also read about challenges, details, how to use it, and so on. I think they refresh this website every day or once in a few days. I don't remember, but there are a lot of people are trying to do different things with it, learn different vulnerabilities from it. So you may see something that you didn't do specifically, and this is why they refresh the website on a regular basis. Now, because we already um, opened it through our Zap, you will see that we have in Zap tool uh, different activities happening. So requests, responses, when we loaded the website first time, this communication already is happening. And on the in the website browser window that we launched, we also have these different tools. Again, you can read more instructions later on your own and test them around how they work. But it's very helpful because everything is right there. You can just work and learn from there. And you also have the same kind of window at the bottom where you can see a um, different information about the website once you working with it. So the first thing that we want to do about the website is to actually find out some more information. So I see we have account. It means I can log in perhaps. Yeah, so there's a login page. Now we want to see if you able to log in with some details without creating account and just basically testing. So how you can get into the website without um, information about the user. And of course, always one of the first things we want to see about the website is who are the users, who are the owners. Maybe we can go to customer feedback and learn a little bit about that. Okay, so customer feedback is just something we can enter here. Um, Test, maybe, rating, sure. Um, okay, so we have submitted some feedback. You can see as well on the different request responses. Yeah, something happened. Let's go about us and learn a little bit more about this website. Okay, maybe a photo wall. I'm not exactly sure if it's my network or it's something with the website right now that it's not switching, it's not loading properly. Oh, okay. So about us. Oh no, I think it's my network. My apologies. It's a little bit slow. So now it's loading again. All right. So from here, what I wanted to see was if I find any user information that I could possibly have about this website, maybe some admin or someone, and I'm pretty sure they had something. I'm gonna go back. Okay, so there are some. That's annoying. Okay, we are back at the login page. They did have this carousel of images, and you see they're loaded in the backend, but for some reason they didn't load properly through my screen. Um, so some probably network delay. Anyway, I don't have right now any user, but I want to test if I can log in here by using forgot your password feature. So I'll enter just something email at email.com, and I will click on forgot your password. So here I can basically retrieve my password or change my password if I have some information. And the interesting about this page, if you notice, sometimes you can guess if user exists or not by typing some data, and you will see in Zap as well, it starts typing. So as I typed D, then D add, right? And if I do admin, you see how it does. You can guess. Now, juiceshop.com. Please provide your message. So this kind of information can be useful also for you to find out if the user exists or not. But if I go here and enter 123, okay, so it doesn't allow me to enter. It's not, the password is not right. Maybe I can try admin. So I'm just testing it out. No. So the password is not admin. I know the password for this website, but for this purpose, I wanted to show you how SQL injection actually can let me go into login into the website by simply commenting everything after this email. So I'm going to enter this query. And what this query means is that when this email characters finish, yeah, this is the quote, is finishing of that, I'm going to try to fool the system by entering a continuation of this query that basically means this email, or there is everything else is commented, right? So I'm commenting the rest of the questions that I need to enter the password. And by doing that, I'm dismissing the password at all, and I can log in just by doing that. So that's a very simple example of SQL query vulnerability that is represented on this website. Now, similar things like on that other vulnerable website we did, we can also perform here. We can do different SQL injections, different scripts, and see how it works. And the first thing I would go with is to try to see what you can do with the um, input fields. And one of the most obvious input field is the search field. So search field is on the top here, and this is where you can try to first see if that search field is recognizing and trying to consume um, any script. Even let's try HTML script, right? So we're gonna do header, HTML header, one, and see if it's gonna. So okay, so it's printed. Now you know that it has some vulnerability. It actually prints something back. It displays. Okay, and from here you can do same script that we did in the lab exercise. So you can copy from there and enter here, or maybe you want to try something more fun. For example, you can enter script alert hello message, and here you invoke in the alert pop-up message. Oh, okay, so that doesn't work. Now we know that if we enter script, actually there is some protection on this website and it doesn't work. And this is the reason I wanted to show you a little trick here. If you're gonna play with this website, there are different ways to obfuscate your script that you're entering. And really, the key that application should catch it all and protect from all of it. Some other ways how to obfuscate it is to use different methods like iframe, for example, or even image and so on. Yeah. So in this case, I'm making it look like an iframe. So I'm like embedding something maybe on a page, and then I use the JavaScript alert message to display my text. So now you can see that this pop-up message have displayed as an alert, and I have OK here, and it displays wow. Okay, any questions so far? I don't see any questions. And similar with the element cookies. So I can try to do different things. So right now, I try to steal this cookie, session cookie. Sorry, this is very small, but I obfuscated it as part of the image script. So you can see the little image here, but we have a okay. Sorry, it's not loading properly. Anyway, Emma, would you like me to send somehow the examples for the different scripts, or maybe should I just add them to our shared lab page for people to use it?
Sure, like any kind of like supplemental like material would be nice. And then I guess just like add it to like wherever works best. You can just maybe add it to the slides.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So go back. Maybe I can go back here. Same, you can embed your, oops, you can embed some message, a video from whatever video or anything else that you can embed. It can be here done as well. All right, so if I go to this Juice Shop project, I'm gonna bring this page. I don't want to reload any pages. I'm glad I opened this page before. I don't know what happens with my network. Maybe everybody's now watching Netflix. Okay, so when you go to this OWASP project Juice Shop, you can see main and features, right? So what it does. And then there is a tab for challenges where you can go through and try. It basically gives you hints, yeah, what you can find in this project. And there are also different videos on YouTube if you want to watch and see how it's done. I find sometimes if you're struggling with some question or some topic, definitely search it up on just Google or whatever the search engine, and look it up how else you can perhaps modify or do it, and look up on the YouTube. There are a lot of educational videos for your purpose as well, how you can try and learn more about offensive security. And definitely use use only the tools that will be allowed to do this work. So don't use any websites outside of that. So if I go back once again to the source, um, so Emma will share this information, and you can go through OWASP is one of them, yeah, and then there are other websites and practices that you can use. There's even Capture the Flag online. Very encourage you. It's like a game where you can try to find different challenges. Are there any YouTube channels you would recommend watching? um, I don't really watch a specific YouTube channel, but there might be one. Just uh, there is a very experienced hacker, white hacker, who does podcasts podcasts on a regular basis, different vulnerabilities, how he finds them, how he hacks different things, and I think it's very good. So maybe let me include this as part of the overall references. Now that you reminded me. All right, Emma. So I hope that was a helpful introduction for offensive security. And I know it's maybe a lot of information and it might feel sometimes challenging. And I've been struggling in the beginning myself a little bit, to learn and find out things. But once you do more of that and you read and you see how it really works with the tools, Zap is a very good tool to understand um, how it really works, and try to even build your own payloads for these testing websites.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming to be a speaker at HackTable 2020.
Okay, I'm very happy to participate and hope you'll learn more from other sessions too. And if you have any questions or something, yeah, feel free to reach out to me on social media.
All right, well then, everyone, thank you for watching. And if you're participating in like the giveaway, you want to find the 8-letter word. This letter, the next letter is N. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for watching.
Hey, have a great day. Bye.